Welcome to the Details of Life with Marcus Wilson. I am your host, Marcus Wilson. And ladies and gentlemen, I just got to say thank you. I had no idea that we would be at this point so far along so quickly when I first started this. This started back in January. And I had just tweeted out on April 7th that we had just crossed over 10,000 views. I was pumped. 3 months, 10,000 views. Let's get it, right? Just on April 18th, 11 days later, 25,000 views. So 15,000 views in that short amount in 11 days, right? A lot of that had to do with the fact that I had 5 episodes consecutively last week for AAU week, and that was received very well. You know, I want to give a shout out to all those AAU teams that participated in that, shared what makes them successful, you know, and highlighted their programs. You know, one thing I will say about that is, you know, I realize for anybody that saw more than one episode, you notice that I asked everybody the same questions. And I did that intentionally because I didn't want anybody to feel like I was giving someone an opportunity that I didn't give the other. All these guys are my friends. I doubt I'll be a college basketball coach again, but if I am, I'm going to need these guys. You can guarantee that if I'm a college basketball coach, I'm going to have players on my roster from these teams because I have relationships with them. They know who I am. They know I know the game. They know I care about kids. They would feel comfortable sending their kids to me. I couldn't jeopardize that getting off script and getting into a conversation with this team that I didn't get into with that team. And so I stayed pretty rigid, which there were times that I really wanted to engage more, but I just wanted to be as fair as possible. So hopefully you can work with me through that. Now we're back to just talking, right? And the next guest I have coming on, associate head coach at Kansas State, Chris Lowery. This guy is an awesome guy from Evansville. You guys know I played ball at University of Evansville, so common friends, a lot of similarities. He was a part of that run in the 2000s. Any of you guys that are old enough to remember that when Southern Illinois was really, really good, they were like 4 seeds in the tournament. No one wanted to play them. They were the mid-major that no one wanted to play. He was a part of that stretch, right? Coach of the year in the MVC. But, you know, the thing I love about Chris in this session is, man, he was just real. You know, a lot of times coaches come on here and they want to be very politically correct and not say things that may be offensive. We talked about him getting let go from Southern Illinois, which was his alma mater. We talked about the Kansas State brawl this year. We even talked about a tragedy that has struck his life and how that has affected him. So there's a lot of gems in here. And of course we talk basketball. So I think you're really going to enjoy this. Enough of me talking. Let's go ahead and dive in with associate head coach at Kansas State, Chris Lowery. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Like I just prefaced, today I have Kansas State's associate head coach and my friend Chris Lowery. How you doing, Chris?
Doing great, Marcus. Thanks for having me on.
Man, thanks for making the time to come on, and we'll go ahead and dive right in. You know, I know of you a lot because I played at University of Evansville. You're from Evansville. I know you had a really good career and played with some really good players. So tell us a little bit about where you're from and about your high school career and some of the people that you played with in high school.
Obviously, being from Evansville, Indiana, uptown, as we call it, you know, across the tracks what people from University of Evansville call it. But, you know, it was a great time. I played with great high school players, Calvert Chaney, obviously an all-time great in the Big Ten and at IU and in Evansville high school history. And then Walter McCarty, terrific player as well, Kentucky, national championship player at Kentucky and an NBA veteran for several years. You know, just playing with those guys. Then you got the head coach at Clemson, Brad Brownell, Kevin Hardy, the great linebacker from Illinois, Brent Kell, who played at Evansville, I think right before you or maybe before your time there. So we great talent at our high school, which resulted in guys having great careers in college.
Man, that's impressive. I knew a little bit about Harrison history, and I knew all that. I forgot about Coach Burnell, man. You guys really put out some talent up there, which leads into the next thing. You continue to have success in every step of the way. And I just found this out recently that you're the only person in MVC history as a player, to play in the NIT, coach in the NIT, play in the NCAA tournament, coach in the NCAA tournament. What are some of the things that have helped you have that much success on, you know, all the way from high school, all the way through your career as a player and coach?
I think being determined, you know, when you're a little guy, people tell you too little to do this, you're not good enough to do that. I think just being determined that I was going to get a scholarship, then determined not only going to be a scholarship, but it's going to be a Division I scholarship. And then from there, once I get there, I'm going to make an impact where people don't think that I could possibly play. So, I always have been a fighter and a guy who's considered underdog. But consistency is so big in everything you do. And being consistently diligent in your work ethic, I think, is the one thing I think people will say if you ask them about me.
I can concur. I remember seeing you play. You were scrappy and tough and a leader, which continued on as a coach. And I remember anybody in the Midwest and in the country, really, remember in the 2000s, no one in the country wanted to play Southern Illinois because you guys were talented, you were tough, you played defense. You had a great run there, went to NCAA tournament, Sweet 16, MVC Coach of the Year, all of that great success. Like myself, I was also let go when I was at SLU, and 5 years later, after all that success, you were let go there. What I want to talk about, though, is I believe sincerely that you're going to be a head coach in a matter of time. So what did you learn from that experience, the successes and failures that you think you're going to be able to enable you to be a better head coach when you get that opportunity in the future?
I think immediately you have to separate the job and yourself. You get fired from the job, but you're not a failure. And that's the key. You have to understand that not everything lasts. And being better and understanding how to keep things consistent is obviously the things that I learned. And so it was hard at first to be fired because you feel like you've been rejected. You feel like you're a failure. And a lot of young people let failure deter them too soon. Because you may fail, but you keep at it, and then something else is going to happen for you if you stay with it. And I think, obviously, Coach Weber got fired and I got fired, and basically within a couple of days from each other. And to get back together and to be part of what we've done here at Kansas State is an example of that. Like, you're going to have ups and downs, especially if you coach long enough. Every season is not going to be the season you anticipated or wanted. There's injuries, there's other things. And so learning how to deal with that and not feel the pressurization that everything has to be a win-win-win when it's really a process. And the process of each year getting better determines the output in terms of the piece and what you're able to put on the floor.
That's true, man. And I remember, like I said, I remember that happening. And I remember feeling for you because I know that was where you played, and to be let go from your alma mater, I knew it was probably tough, but it also, like you said, you stick with it. And it felt good. It felt just as good for me to see you being inducted into the Hall of Fame there recently. So congratulations on that, man. Want to continue going on with your coaching is, man, you are a monster here in St. Louis when it comes to recruiting. It seems like if there's a player coming out of here, you got your hands on it, all the way from Xavier Sneed to Levi Stockert, even more recently, Luke Kazubke, Davion Bradford. What do you think has led to you having so much success in recruiting, and specifically here in the St. Louis area?
When I first started kind of messing around in St. Louis, I was at Missouri Southern at a Division II. Even at Wren Lake, we tried to get St. Louis kids. My first job, a junior college job, we tried to get St. Louis kids over to Wren Lake. And then being at Missouri Southern, then going to SEMO, which is directly south, I really got in the door with some of the AAU people, the high school guys, and then going to Southern. Coach Weber said something the other day to me. And I think we had 8 guys from the St. Louis area on our first Sweet 16 team. And we continue to do that throughout the whole time while we were there. And this is what's interesting. Kent Williams is in the Missouri Valley Hall of Fame. So is Darren Brooks. Those guys were St. Louis Eagles. And if you think about that, that's huge when you consider where those guys, the AU team they chose to play from, is the area we've cultivated. And when you think about our great team, the 2017 at Southern Illinois, Jamal Tatum, Randall Falker, Matt Shaw, they were St. Louis Eagles. And that's relationship stuff. Guys don't send you kids unless they graduate, they do well, they have success, you help develop them as men, and really give them a chance to be professionals as well. We used to brag about every kid we coached from St. Louis has had a conference championship and played in the NCAA tournament. That went on at Southern Illinois. We did that with so many kids for 7 years at Southern Illinois. And at Kansas State, DJ Johnson, Sean Williams, Xavier Sneed, and Levi Stockert have all played on a conference championship, played in the NCAA tournament from St. Louis. So those things, when you tell a person that and you tell a community that, and with Coach Ware, myself have recruited those areas for such a long time, we just got great rapport with her. And it's like my second home now, to be honest.
Man, you got me ready to come play for Kansas State. I ain't even from St. Louis. I just live here. So I see why. I see those are some of the points I didn't realize. The players that you get here, you take care of them on the court, off the court, give them championships. Why wouldn't they come? So, man, I'm going to go into a kind of rocky subject, but I also know I want to get the positive out of this as well. College basketball, a lot of people saw the Kansas State incident this year, and I don't want to dwell on that. But what I do want to talk about is after the dust settled, I'm sure there was some inner discipline and there was some suspensions and everything, but after the dust settled, what were some of the messages that you had to convey to your players? I got in a little trouble when I was in college. A lot of guys do. This isn't the first time guys have been through turmoil. So what was the maturation process, and what were some of the messages that you told them on how to avoid situations like that in the future? How could they grow from it?
I think the number one thing is basketball etiquette. We both Indiana boys, man, we grew up knowing the etiquette of the game. When the game is over, the guys dribbling half court, you just let the game end. You don't steal the ball, try to go get a layup. And just teaching our guys the etiquette of the game. But you also got to understand the kid too. Our young man is from Chicago, and they don't stop playing until that horn goes off, and that's the etiquette he learned. But teaching young men that, hey, this is how you approach the end of the basketball game. You don't ever. And then the young man who left the bench was a freshman. You don't ever leave the bench, even if that's your homeboy, roommate, best friend. The referees will handle it. We don't ever want to do anything like that. So not only the discipline side of it, but also the etiquette and teaching them the right way, because not every kid knows. And that's as a fan, as a student of the game, sometimes we get so critical of kids, but you got to stop and ask yourself, did they know that was wrong? And honestly, that's my maturation as a head coach, but as a young guy, and I mean, even as a young guy, I would have flew off the handle, went crazy on those kids, because, that's always been what you got to discipline somebody when they're wrong. Well, this social media with these new millennials, you got to explain to them, at all times, because they don't know.
Man, you know what? That's so true. And a lot of coaches don't do that. I just had a podcast with David Ragland, and he kind of gave kudos to you for that, about how you treated him well on the court and also schooled him as a mentor off the court. And that's what made him a good recruiter and has made him a good coach. And obviously he's learned from someone like you. So that's awesome that you have those type of relationships and keep that bond and that family, even after the playing days are over. So you guys, we just talked about how you guys often are good evaluators of talent, not just seeing the guy where he's at, but where he's going to end up being. So with COVID-19, taking away some of our live periods right now, how do you see that impacting your ability to recruit, and how do you see it? Do you think it'll impact your team or college basketball next year?
Well, it really takes you back to the old days when you got to actually watch film of dudes and now you can get their huddle account and watch whole games. I think when you watch those games, it's more intimate because you're not being talked to by fans or the parents next to you, because sometimes you lose track of the game because people will come up to you and talk to you. How you doing, coach? How you guys going to be? Who you recruiting? And you obviously got to, you take the time to visit with anybody that comes up to you. But when you're in your office and you shut the door and you really evaluate a kid on tape, you just notice things a little more about that kid. You get to see how he interacts with the bench. You get to see how he interacts with his head coach, how he interacts with the players, because most films don't turn it off during timeouts. You get to see if he's looking at the coach when the coach is talking to him. So that type of stuff has become more prevalent now because we're actually watching more film and you're actually trusting what you saw before Corona. Pre-Corona is kind of what we call it here. Pre-Corona, we're trusting our eyes and our instincts, and we're just basically like the old days, trusting head coaches and guys who know the kids, and really just being on the phone a lot more, and this FaceTime and this Zoom stuff. We've done Zoom recruiting. We've done walkthroughs in our gym through the 360, virtual reality tours. We're doing that stuff now, where you can actually show a kid around your university, around your building, with just touching the screen. So that stuff is really valuable for us right now, and valuable for the kids because, let's be honest, people are scared.
Yeah.
People that have been recruited are committed to schools that show them loyalty before we've all been forced to stay at home.
Wow. Yeah, that's some great insight, because I was wondering, and that's something else that I was going to ask you is, how are you, you're obviously very family oriented in terms of family with your team and your guys and staying in touch with them. But the guys on your team right now, how are you staying engaged with them and staying in touch with them and keeping them locked in through all this time of not being able to have as many one-on-one meetings and also not being able to do the player development that would normally be going on right now?
It's really interesting because they can't go to gyms. They can't go work out. Our strength and conditioning guy, he shoots out videos every morning of ball workouts, and even for a player played at Florida State. He's ball handling workouts because we were able to send him jump ropes, a ball, foam roller. I mean, our guys are spoiled now. Marcus, we need none of that, man. We just dribble to the grocery store and back. You know what I mean? And these guys need all these gadgets and stuff. But we send them this, and so they have to send their video into a group text we have with our players every day, and we put a number, and whoever's wins that number today wins the competition. So we're just doing stuff like that just to help them stay competitive when they can't go out. Because let's be honest, some of these moms are like, no, you're not going outside. You can do it in the garage. You can do it in the backyard. We don't want you to do it in the front because if people see you, they're going to gravitate towards you and start coming out and seeing how you are. So we've had to be really creative and let moms know that, we're asking them to do this at this time when they can't, be with us and really work out.
Last thing I want to touch on is on the details of life. I obviously bring on people who've had success, and so other people can hopefully learn from that. And as we mentioned earlier, you've had success in high school, in college as a player, in college as a coach. You've coached pros. We didn't even talk about, you've coached with USA Basketball. So you've done a lot of things and garnered a lot of success in your time. And so I always like to try to share that knowledge with others. Do you have any daily habits, or do you have any routines or anything that you feel help separate you or help put you in position for success?
I think that the number one thing is, since my son has passed, I've really, when I wake up each day, I'm so much more thankful because the blessing that he was to our family, he's no longer with us, but every day he's with me when I wake up, and really appreciating his life every day and celebrating it, and not just waiting on his birthday or holidays, to think about him. That's really changed me as my approach to everything. But I think the biggest thing, I like to read. And last night I just went and wrote down, I always look at stuff and try to do a list once a month of books that I want to read. And I think, I don't know who I learned that from, but I got a pretty good library in my house, and my players will come over and they'll see it and they'll be like, what is that? And I just say, go look, and they'll pick up stuff and they'll just like, man, I didn't know you read this. And so that type of stuff I pass on, because you have to have some sort of outlet from coaching and recruiting. And it's gotta be, something that you can't be away from your family. I don't golf or anything like that because I can't justify on my day off going and being away from them for 6 or 7 hours when I can be at home with them on my free day. So, that's what I do.
Thank you so much for, first of all, being transparent. We had talked a little bit before this. The people don't know this, but we had talked a little bit before this about would I ask a question about your son's passing. I decided not to, but man, it just goes to show the genuineness, because I think that's why your players gravitate towards you. People across the country love you. I got a lot of respect for you because it's the same Chris all day, every day. You're not getting one guy one day, one another. It's straight consistency, straight up integrity. I appreciate you for that. And also, man, I think you made a good point about reading. I saw some things where a lot of great CEOs on the Fortune 500, the Fortune 100, they say read a book a week. So you're on to something, buddy. I'll tell you, you're on to something. I already said I think that you're going to be a head coach. It's only a matter of time, man. So thank you for spending time with me. Thank you for being so transparent and genuine. And good luck to you for the rest of this summer. Hopefully we get a chance to get out and you can get out and recruit and bring some more players to Kansas State. But good luck the rest of the summer, and good luck next year, Coach.
Thank you, Marcus. I appreciate you having me on, man.
All right, brother. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you, Chris, for coming on and sharing all that knowledge and being so open and transparent with us. It's very easy to see for all my listeners out there to see why I said this guy's about to be a head coach. I mean, he's the same guy every day, honest, genuine. There's no fluff. It's all real. And so thank you for giving that to, the thousands of people that might watch this. So I appreciate you for that. And for all the listeners, after I sign off right now on this episode, I'm going to leave you with another snippet of Coach Lowery, where he's at Kansas State now. You know that he was at Southern, was let go, came back and talked to the team recently and gave a really positive, inspirational speech to those guys. I watched it and was like, man, this is big time. And so make sure you stay tuned in for that. You're going to fall in love with this guy even more. So thank you, Chris. Best of luck to you, brother. Next episode, we have Georgia Tech head coach Josh Pastner. This is another guy that is just, awesome, man. Like, I can tell you guys, I've reached out to several people, and most people end up saying yes about coming on the podcast. I get some arrogant people, or maybe I shouldn't call them arrogant, but I get some people that just feels like they're too big for this, and they're just, they either don't get back to me or they just say, I'm not interested. It's not big enough. But Josh Pastner is a coach of a Power 5 conference, guys. It's like, this is the elite of the elite. They finished 5th in the ACC. And when I emailed him about this, I was thinking, okay, I'll check my email tomorrow. Maybe he'll get back. He emailed me back in 15 minutes. I emailed him another 10 minutes, another 15 minutes. It was done in like 35, 45 minutes. That doesn't happen. I'm trying to tell you. So he came on and was that same person, open, just we talked and had a lot of great conversations. You got to understand, this guy started his career, was a player coach at Arizona, was coaching some NBA pros as a player, was coaching Mike Bibby, Michael Dickerson, Miles Simon, Jason Terry as a player there. Proceeded to be assistant coach at Arizona, went on to Memphis, coached under Calipari. At Arizona was under the legendary Lute Olson. Then went to Memphis under Calipari, took over as a head coach at age 32, figured it out, now is at Georgia Tech. So he's been at some major stops along the way. So a lot of you guys that want to know what it's like to be a big-time coach, this is where it's at right now. You need to listen to this, pick up what he's putting down, you understand what I'm saying, and learn from this, because he's going to give you some details on how to be successful. Because what do I always say? That's right. Greatness is in the details, guys. Continue to like, subscribe, and share. Love you guys. Tune in next episode. Peace.
This place is unbelievable. When you win, unbelievable. This is a high major place when you win. That ain't me trying to gas y'all like y'all say. That's real. This is a high major place, man. Because I love this school. This is my school. No matter what happened to me, it's always been my school. When programs take off, when a new coach comes, it's because of the older, it's the seniors that buy in, that do it. They get everybody else to do it, get everybody else to focus. You guys got to understand, the discipline side of it can help you win this year. You don't have to wait. You don't have to come back and say, well, that was a transition year, we was there, but we didn't. Make it happen right now. Why wait? And it could click tomorrow. It could click in January. It could click in March at Arch Madness. Sometimes as a player, you might not like how somebody says something to you. And you know how we do. Brothers, we're like, man, my daddy ain't talk to me like that. You know what I mean? And I'm keeping it up. Like, sometimes you may not want to hear it that way. Your daddy ain't hooping with you. He ain't up in that office late at night breaking down film to help y'all get better today. Be brothers. You have issues, address them with each other. Don't get in cliques and say, man, that dude, don't do that. Be men. Because at some point you're going to go work for somebody or go be with a group of people, with individuals where you got to be a man every day. You don't get to take time. I'm going to be a kid today. I'm going to sleep in today. I'm not going to pay the mortgage on my house this month. I'm just going to chill. Everything he's telling you is correct, and it's proven. That dude's a winner. He's won everywhere. He's a pedigreed guy. They never really celebrated. They were like machines. That dude was crazy. Played so hard that, he broke himself. But he came here to win. We were winning at such a high clip, it didn't matter where we played at. And now he's allowed all of us to come back and support this thing the right way. And all of us are coming back to support this. So you guys got a lot of people you have no idea in your corner. 8 championships in this place I've been a part of. You know, player, assistant, head coach, and all of them are different. But the one thing that is consistent is that we all worked hard, we loved each other on and off the court. Our guys were one way. We didn't smile, we didn't cheer, we didn't celebrate until that game was over. We was in that locker room, we acted a plum fool. Well, we acted silly, crazy, but out there, people were scared of us. People were terrified. So somebody's got to be the bad guy. Somebody's got to be the leader. Somebody's got to be the guy that don't even know it right now. You're going to have a moment where you save this team. It's in this room. You just got to trust in it. And he got the formula, he got the staff, you got the right people behind you to be a success.